Welcome back, America. Peter SCHWEIZER, who deserves a Pulitzer Prize and any other prize they can figure out, of the Government Accountability Institute. He wrote a book in 2018, and he broke the story right here on this program called Secret Empires. And one of the primary focuses of your book, Peter, was the Biden crime family. And you suggested in there that we're talking about over $30 million that this crime family has received for doing absolutely nothing, primarily from communist China. Now you see all this going on. What's your take?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of enormously rewarding, but we always work very hard, Mark, on the research. We use public records, financial records, court documents, et cetera. And what we're seeing now 5 years later come to fruition is exactly what we talked about 5 years ago. It shouldn't have taken this long. The fact of the matter is the mainstream media took no interest in this story. I had lunch with a New York Times reporter in New York in the fall of 2018 talking about the Bidens in China. And he told me, well, if Joe Biden runs for president, we are absolutely going to cover this story, which, of course, they never did. So it's really because of media obstruction and the fact that in Washington, D.C., there are a lot of people, Democrats and some Republicans, that don't want to have a conversation about this, that we've now had to wait for this 5 years. But I give a lot of credit to Chairman Comer, Jim Jordan, the other committee chairman, because they are turning over rocks that only they can turn over because they have subpoena power. So God bless them. And these whistleblowers are doing a fantastic service to their country.
And none of this would be possible in the House but for a 5-vote majority and the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, who's told these guys, you do whatever you have to do to get to the bottom of this. And compare McCarthy, if you will, to Mitch McConnell. Have we even heard from Mitch McConnell? Have we heard from any of the Republican leadership in the Senate, whether it's Cornyn or Barrasso or Thune or anybody? You have the greatest corruption exposed in the history of this country. And a president of the United States who's corrupt up to his eyeballs, the Manchurian president, and they say nothing. I've heard nothing. Have you heard anything?
No. The only people in the Senate that have talked about this have been Senator Ron Johnson and Senator Grassley. In terms of Mitch McConnell, no. And as we've talked about on this program before, Mitch McConnell does not want to have an open conversation about Chinese financial ties involving American political families because his family is one of those. So he doesn't want to have this conversation. And I would argue that some of the other people that aren't talking about it, they may not have Chinese ties now, but they aspire to have some kind of financial ties with foreign entities. They see politics and public service as a money-making opportunity, and they believe that foreign oligarchs present that opportunity. So why muddy the waters? Why draw attention to this? Let's just keep focusing on the less important issues. But this is a critical turning point, Mark. I'm very encouraged. If you look at the public opinion polls, opinions are shifting on this and what the Bidens are doing. And I think this is going to be the end of Joe Biden's political career.
So, Peter SCHWEIZER, you write this book in 2018. We have a new attorney general who's sworn in early 2019. His name would be Bill Barr. Did Bill Barr ever contact you or send out one of his people to interview you about your really incredible charges about the Biden family in your book?
Well, Mark, we did have contact. The FBI contacted us, people from the public corruption section. And by the way, these are very, very good FBI agents. But as was now becoming clear, that investigation was stifled at senior levels. So there was interest by FBI in looking into these allegations, but it was stifled. And we need to remember, Mark, look, we've had these courageous IRS whistleblowers that talk about how they were stifled. They were muzzled. They were prevented from looking into the tax evasion charges. We've got to assume the same thing happened on every other aspect of investigating the Bidens, whether it's FARA violations, public corruption. Yeah.
If we assume that happened, the Department of Justice was run by Republicans. Christopher Wray's been director of the FBI since 2017. Bill Barr was Attorney General since early 2019. So what the hell happened?
It was halted. It was stopped.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
We'll be right back. Welcome back, America. We're here with the fantastic Peter SCHWEIZER, who really broke this in 2018. But since then, the amount of information that comes out is absolutely overwhelming. Is there any justification of any kind, Peter SCHWEIZER, for this Attorney General not to appoint a special counsel. The condition is conflict of interest or an appearance of a conflict of interest. We got predicates all over the place.
Yeah. I mean, this is why you have the statute for an independent counsel. It's the first family of the United States. The reason that one has not been appointed is if they're appointed, all hell is going to break loose. Let's remember what we're talking about here, Mark, in very specific ways. Just look at China. Based on the laptop, based on public corporate records, what we know is that Hunter Biden and the Biden family received $31 million from 4 businessmen in China. And when you look at those 4 businessmen in China, these are not ordinary businessmen. These are not even ordinary members of the Chinese Communist Party. Each and every one of them has ties to the highest levels of Chinese intelligence. Che Feng, who arranged a $20 million deal for Hunter Biden, that private equity deal, his business partner at the same time he's setting up Hunter Biden was the vice minister for state security for China, whose job is to recruit foreign nationals to spy for China. Or look at Henry Zhao, who wires $5 million to Hunter Biden. He wires him the $5 million out of an account of a company called Harvest that Henry Zhao co-owns with the family of the former minister of state security who runs the entire spy apparatus in China. Or you look at Chairman Yi, the CEFC energy company, who sends $6 million to Hunter Biden. His previous job before he gets appointed to this energy position is running an organization that is widely known to be a front for Chinese military intelligence. This was an intelligence operation by the Chinese to extract information, to get their claws into the then second family, now first family of the United States. Nobody in Washington, D.C. wants to have that conversation, and Merrick Garland is not going to go there, even though this is the poster child for an independent counsel because of how the investigation's being stifled and who the investigation is actually about.
So they trash Robert Kennedy Jr. at a censorship hearing trying to silence the man and destroy him, to set an example to everybody. You dare challenge Biden, you dare challenge the Democrat Party, we're going to ruin you, whether you're a Kennedy or anybody else. FBI whistleblowers, IRS whistleblowers, having their careers destroyed because they have the guts to come forward, even though there's an act that's supposed to protect them. Well, they don't care about the act. They only care about one whistleblower who had ties to Obama and Biden and some phony story about Ukraine in which they used to try and take out Donald Trump. The Democrat Party doesn't care about anything you've said. They don't care about any of the information that's been presented. They're circling the wagons around Biden because Biden is carrying the radical Marxist agenda across the board in this country. And they will do anything and everything to protect him. They don't care. They don't care if he has an IQ of an orange juice can. It doesn't matter to them. What matters to them is their agenda. Your final thoughts.
You're right. I mean, Joe Biden is essentially an empty vessel. They get to fill it up. And look, why is the deep state at DOJ and the FBI so beholden to Joe Biden? He was for years, for decades, the chairman or a powerful member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, where so much judicial policy, funding of DOJ, and other issues were settled. He did big favors for them, and now they're returning the favor by covering it up. This is the definition of the deep state, and I think that the Republicans in the House need to continue to do what they're going to do, and the truth is coming out.
Peter SCHWEIZER, thank you for opening our eyes long ago to this, and what we see now is just unbelievable, unimaginable. We'll be right back.